Hey guys, welcome back. And in the spirit of the holidays, I've decided to bring you the most Christmassy matchup I can think of in red versus green. So this is a little game that I played with some friends, just having some fun over the holiday season and break. And we decided to, experiment. As you guys can see here, or you can try to guess which deck I'm playing versus my buddy Diego on the right, who's playing green. Let's get right to it. I didn't speed this game up because, man, my red games go pretty fast. So I'll go ahead and tap a Dawn, and I'm starting with a Nami. Pretty good start. So far, nothing can be searched. Okay, at least I'll hit the Sanji. God bless. Almost whiffing on a Nami search. Kind of wild. He'll go to 2 Dawn, and he'll deploy a Killer. Now, the most optimal card that I'm looking for off a Nami on turn 1 versus Kid is probably like a Jet Pistol. Unfortunately, I can't grab any of the power reducers in terms of Otama and things like that. I don't play Law in this specific list, and unfortunately, I just can't find them sometimes. So I swing with the leader first here, mostly because I don't want to go ahead and swing into like a Punk Gibson or anything that can rest in life. I didn't want to move my Zoro and be as aggressive because I know that there comes a point in the green deck where they just have too much value and they just can end the game. And I'm gladly going to take every single life. I go ahead and think about that really slowly on that trigger. I do that a lot with most of my triggers, but I don't really like, even if I don't have a trigger, I'll go ahead and I'll just pretend. All right, choose not to trigger and go just, to psych my opponent out. Get that little bonus game going on. But it was a Jet Pistol, so step 1 accomplished. Step 2, find something to reduce power. I go ahead and swing with 5 here. I know he's never going to combo out of these things. I go ahead and pistol the Okiku. Just by the way he plays, he very rarely he always keeps his hand intact as much as possible, and then drops the A-drop Kid kind of to stabilize and win the game off of that. Very, very powerful card. So I pistol the Okiku because that card is on sight. That card is so strong. Kind of will solo carry the game if I don't go ahead and pistol it. Fortunately, I did top it there. And I go ahead and deal another life. So it's 3 to 4 at this point in time. But he does have 2 weenie blockers at this moment that I just cannot seem to deal with. I mean, I'm going to keep up with him in terms of life. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one. Keep as much for the late game as possible. I do draw into another Zoro. I do have 3 separate rushers in my hand at this point in time. So it's about to get a little rushy up in here. So I have to decide how I want to do this turn. Now, by playing the 5-drop Law, it kind of changes my game plan entirely. I can't just swing in with 5s. It just becomes a little bit more difficult. The reason I swing with the leader first is because I don't want to commit to a character at this point in time. If I commit to any Dawn onto the Zoro, if I swing with Zoro, then he might like go for a block there, then force my swing with my leader. But if I just leave my cards unrested, then he doesn't have to block. So that's why I went with the 5 first, keeping up my Dawn. So depending on what he wanted to do, I would go ahead and do it. I'm going to have to deploy a big card here at any point in time. So I dropped the big Luffy, which is amazing in this deck. And I just go for face. He takes the block here when he gets the draw off the killer, but I get to develop a 7 attack creature on the board that every turn, if I can defend it, will just chip away at him. So I'm very happy and content to do that. So with my opponent here, I believe he's currently at 8 Dawn. At 8 Dawn, if he has to commit to kill this Luffy and he's not developing anything else, then I'm really, really happy with that. So he goes ahead and attaches 5 to his Kid here, making it 10 versus 7. 10 versus 7 will just take 2 2Ks. And my hand is stacked enough that I can do that. I don't need Usopp in this matchup. He's mostly there for other control decks, such as purple and blue. So I'm happy to take him out of my hand. And then as well as a Sanji. I don't think I'm ever deploying Sanji. He just drops double Beji, man. It's just actually disgusting. He has seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers already. Very cool. Interactive and fun. He still has 1 Dawn up, thinking if he wants to attach it to the killer, I'm assuming, or if he wants to develop another 1 cost. Oh boy. Such is life, huh? That's what green basically has seemed to become. It's just a deck with a bunch of really low to the ground blockers, and then like 1 alternate win condition, like 3 alternate win conditions. I do top deck a Jet Pistol, which kind of makes my turn a little easier. This is one of the turns where I can start putting on the gas on him. And I think, oh, and yeah, he says, oh, I forgot to put that in, and we're just This is a casual game. It's not a big deal. So I'll go ahead and I'll pistol the Law, which should allow me to use my Dawn more efficiently. And I'm just going to swing at him with some weird numbers here. I'm going to go 6 at lead. Still showing 5 Dawn. He'll take the block here off the killer. Take the draw. I'm going to go 7. No need to attach any Dawn. He's already at a threatening number. He will take that hit. Still has 2 veggies on the board. And then if I can just get one more hit on him, I have the unblockable Luffy. And I know the unblockable Luffy can just finish this off by himself. I'll go 6. And then I will tap 3, go for another Zoro. I already used Luffy's effect, so I'll go for another 6. And then he will have to start defending at some point in time. But now my board is starting to be a little stacked. It's very difficult for him to deploy an 8-drop kit here. At least that was my idea. Oh, I did. Ooh, little movement of the camera. I may have kicked it by mistake. But he is at 0 life. I am at 3, and I have a full board here. And I'm going to try my best to defend it. He goes 5 at Zoro, and I have to. Unfortunately, I just have a pile of 2Ks in my hand, which it is what it is. I don't want to over combo, but I'm not letting the Zoro go. So once again, it was my second Usopp, and as I said earlier, Usopp just isn't that necessary in this matchup. He goes ahead, drops 8, uses the Kid's effect. Kid's gonna most probably drop another blocker, and that blocker is actually huge because it's kind of like Shanks proof is the idea that he put into the deck, by the way, just so that I can just go here and like all in this Kid and then go Shanks on top of it. Wanted to play around that, and I'm waiting here to see if he wants to do anything with that last Dawn. And yup, wow, this is looking like a lot of fun, guys. So, the main issue with this deck, and I've noticed, is just the fact that like when they get to these states, you're like, well, like there are 4 cards on the board that will probably never attack. Yeah, you're not wrong, but the fact that the leader can always double swing is insane. The fact that Eustass captain that kid, the fact that he's just swinging you at 9k, the numbers that they're swinging at you with are really, really big. And although I probably won't kill him, although he probably won't kill me on the next turn, he will kill me over the course of 2 turns. And it's just I'm on a clock right now, so maybe taking those early hits was a mistake, but as a red player it's really hard not to, sort of, you know, just to get that, continue my hand size or advantage versus him. There is also something to be said. Here is what I think is my little mistake of the game. I do drop the unblockable Luffy, which is probably one of the better cards in this board state. I'll go ahead and activate my leader's effect, and I just say, you know what, no. I'll just put all the Dawn on Luffy, which is 6 plus 6, that's 12, at the 8-drop. Now, like I had said, it's very difficult for him to kill me from this board state, so I probably should have dropped the 5-drop and then committed a couple hits with my Zoros, as well as my leader to try, maybe not Zoro, but maybe like the 7 attack Luffy and my leader to try and force some blocks. And then on my next turn, put as much Dawn into this Luffy to make sure I clear the Kid, and then try to win off of an rusher in hand type of thing. That was like the idea. The issue is I have a lot of the only rusher in my hand that I do have is just a little too thick. It is the 6-drop Luffy. I don't have another Zoro. Zoro would be really helpful here, as he would probably help me go for game. But my opponent's hand, even though I wasn't able to kill the Kid, his hand is now looking a little lackluster. He had to drop 4 cards to protect it, which I understand he had to do. If not, the game actually just ends there. So he's getting 9 on the 6. I do just not have a way to protect it, unfortunately. I think I only have 1 2k in hand and a 1k. So I'm exactly on the 9k, which is terrible for me. Even if I could defend it, then Captain Kid would just eat it up. I'll go ahead and take this life. I'm trying to just dig into something. He'll go ahead and tap 3. Again, he's just putting me on that clock that we were talking about. Yep, he's going to dump that. And he's going to leave 1 up. He does, which threatens the Paradise Waterfall, which is a very, very spooky. And this is probably one of the last turns in the game. And just like that, there's the Christmas special, baby. These little blockers are so annoying. I always mute the audio in the videos, but right here we're just, me and him are both just complaining. We're just like, these cards are so good, man. I don't play Diablo Jumbo, which is kind of a big deal, because had I played Diablo Jumbo, I possibly could have, you know, gotten into it, but deck style choices. I also don't play Round Table in this deck, because once again, in my locals, I'm not really seeing a lot of Eustass Captain Kids. So I'm just gonna, and even if I want to just put all my Dawn in a very specific way, I'll go 8, 8. Gonna 8 all the whole time. The thing is, all these blockers are just gonna chump me the entire game. Big unfortunate. 8, 8, 8. And my hand is looking mighty thick. And 8. And leaving him with 3 cards in hand, it does look like he has Paradise Waterfall plus still more blockers. It's gonna make these next couple turns just back-breaking. He's gonna go ahead and attach 7. He's thinking about how he wants to do it. He could go for lethal here. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in hand. He is contemplating going for game or going for board control. He thinks he can win over the course of 2 turns. I mean, by this time, he kind of knows my deck list. We've been playing a couple games, just having fun. And he understands that I don't play Diablo Jumbo and cards of that nature that would really allow me to push for game. So it goes 9 on this 7. And it's kind of crazy because I don't believe I can defend it, right? Let's say I drop a 2k and a 1k. Then he just puts everything on his leader and then just kills me, right? I have to be very wary of how I defend here. So that's why I did not defend the Luffy. It's kind of like a bait. I do hit the pistol in life, which is a big deal here because it helps me take out a bonus blocker. That's one less guy I have to worry about. He goes and drops a killer, plus a killer, attaches to Dawn. But he did leave the Zoros up, which I think may help. But we'll have to see if this is enough to even close out the game. I do top deck an Otama. So unfortunately, had I not triggered that pistol, I can go pistol Otama here, or Otama pistol, and we'd be in a much better spot. But no way am I not killing that blocker I thought there. So sometimes punished, but Otama's still good enough to run out. I don't think I get another turn, so I have to try and close this game out no matter what. It's going to be a little difficult. So I'll go and I'll pay 1. I'll attach it to Luffy, making Eustass Captain Kid a 6k. And that makes him a little bit easier to push through. It is unfortunate that I didn't have the starter deck Nami on the board, because the starter deck Nami on the board would maybe have allowed me to push through this. So yes, I'm just going to 6. I'm going to 6. And the thing is, here's the thing about the killer. The killer is just so strong because it just gets him a bonus draw there, which is more combo power to potentially protect his Eustass. So he has to kind of like... It's dangerous. He can't just make this Eustass go Paradise Waterfall, restand, because he has to take all the hits. He has to tank so that I don't kill him. And he's thinking here. I think he has 3 cards in hand. He's deciding if he wants to block or if he wants to combo or counter out of this. He's going to go ahead and play a Bonnie, now down to 2. He has still 1 card remaining, and here's the issue, right? So I've already spent 2 cards. If I spent anything else, and again, if I overcommit, I'm just gonna get blocked by a killer. If I undercommit, I'm gonna get blocked by his hand. So it's just so tough. I'm putting him on having a 2k here. And again, the only rusher in my hand is the 6-drop Luffy. If I have the 5-drop Luffy, I win the game, but I only saw 1 of him. I mean, the matchup really comes down to the cards that you see, and I'm here. This is being a long turn from me, and this is one of the turns where I really do take my time. I'm trying to figure out what the math is on potentially winning this game, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I think I'm just bad at math. So we've used 3 specific dons so that he goes to draw here with the killer, which he cannot do because he doesn't have 3 characters on board, but we catch that. Just kind of a reflex. Killer usually blocks and draws you a card. I have exactly 7 Dawn available. The thing is, let's say I've already used Luffy's effect. Let's say I go ahead and I use a 6-drop Luffy. I don't gain rush because I don't have a way to suck it to give him the rush. And I don't have a way to finish the game. Even if I could summon the 6-drop Luffy, I just can't finish the game off. But this Nami is going to hit him as hard as possible. 4-9. It just does not matter. He goes to Paradise Waterfall thinking that he was still 8, and I'm like, no, you're Otama. And he's like, oh, whoopsie poopsie. Yeah, you got him. But in doing so, I am at 0 life versus a Captain Kid, and Kid is just going to do the Kid thing where I have no Dawn up, and he's going to go 12. Sadness. And I am able to block 2, 4, 6. Let's go. We blocked the 12, and now we're down to 2 cards in hand. And he goes to do it again, and yeah, that's game. And there goes the fist bump of friendship. Hopefully that was as Christmassy as we can get. We did lose this one, but I do believe that there are some hands that can just win the game. You have to admit, even though it was just a very close game on both ends. Both players were at 0 life. Had I just drawn different cards, or he had drawn one less blocker, life would have been very differently. And there also comes a couple decisions to be made by the deck. This is a video that I wanted to post out mostly because it kind of like highlights why I think side deck is just so important, right? I don't see a lot of green at my locals for whatever reason. So because of that, I've completely removed a lot of options that would be good into green from my deck, just because I think that they're just unnecessary. Not that I think, but they're usually unnecessary in my matchups. So I tech my deck more in line to be the mirror, more in line to be purple, more in line to be just a little bit greedier in general, to beat other of the greedy decks, such as the blue, purple, and things like that, the control decks. But then green here as this king of mid-range. Once they have all these blockers, I just don't have round table. I don't have the power reduction to really push through that kid as easily as I would want to. There's also something to be said that I didn't draw any Nico Robins this game. I only drew one unblockable Luffy, and he drew, I believe, at the end of the game, eight auto weenie blockers, which also makes a big deal. On that same note, this is not me complaining or anything like that. I think both decks are very strong, but they highlight, in my opinion, the two best decks of the format, and how close it could possibly be. Now, I know this is Monkey D. Luffy because, come on. But at the same time, maybe Zoro might have had an easier chance, depending on the right list, depending on the right build. So there's a lot that comes to it. I'm going to go ahead and show you a deck profile for this video coming up later on in this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, thank you so much for the continued support that you give the channel. It has been a fantastic ride with all this growth that you guys have helped me and given me. So hopefully I'll continue to bring the One Piece content that you guys want and deserve. And as always, happy holidays and One Piece. Later.